Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the We Are District 1 podcast. I am your host, Broward County School Board member, Daniel Fogenholy. Thank you for tuning in, and today I have a special guest, a good friend, a leader in Broward's District 1, but all of Broward. He's all over the place, but I want to welcome to the show Pastor Javen Campbell. Thank you for being on the show, sir.
What's up, board member?
There you go. Board member Fogenholy.
Yeah, I said the wrong
I'm not
title
doing
before.
that.
How do you say your last name, though?
It's Fogenholy.
Fogenholy.
That's right.
Nice.
That's right. I remember I had a chance to go to Now Church.
Yeah. How did you end up there?
What do you mean?
Like, how did you?
Oh, I heard. So listen, I heard there were a couple of my principals. So I came across Instagram, and I saw Pastor Carlton.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because it was one of the Instagram posts was the baptisms.
Wow.
And there was baptisms, and I saw the back of his head.
and
I said, wait a minute. And I said, he looks familiar. And then he turned around, and I said, that is Principal Campbell.
Yeah.
I said, hold on, I have to show up at church. And when I showed up there was maybe 3 principals. You got teachers, you have staff. I said, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So it was
the smartest church in Broward.
smartest church. Kids all well behaved.
Oh, well, yeah.
They were well behaved, but
I believe in education.
man, it was a blessing. So that's really what got me there. And
well, we're glad to have you.
Yeah,
you
was
and your
awesome.
Family. You have such a beautiful family.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm blessed, man. But it was funny because during the service, you know, you came out and you said, we have a special guest, Superintendent Fogenholy. I said, nope. I said, no.
I thought that's what you called it. You got
no,
but
not
I stand
superintendent.
corrected. I want to get you in trouble.
Yeah, that's it. Get me in trouble. That's too much pressure.
Although I did meet the superintendent recently at Pastor Carlton's homegrown service.
That's it.
What was his name?
Superintendent Licata.
Superintendent Licata. He did a great. Him and the young lady that spoke with him.
I want to say I don't remember who was with him.
Yeah, I don't remember either. But both of them did a great presentation.
Yeah, man, and that was a tough loss to our district, man, to everybody, and that's why, you know, one of the things I told people is, you know, he's a great principal.
Yeah.
He was a great man.
Yeah,
like people don't understand, and I was like, and I saw him as a pastor and somebody that every single time I would see him, he would pray for me every time. It didn't matter. The first time I met him, he said, I know the governor placed you here, but it wasn't him. It's God that put you here.
Yeah.
Don't forget the responsibility of what you're here to do.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I appreciate it.
No, Carlton was the real deal, man. That's how Dad, you know, you wouldn't have never met my dad. My dad passed away many years ago, but, you know, during the 80s, Bishop James Campbell, you know, he was ahead of his time, a black man in America, you know, raising 13 children, him and my mom. He was an entrepreneur, owned multiple properties, pastored, and then worked with then Governor Bob Graham and all city officials, just really, really ahead of his time in the sense of partnering school and community with church. And that's how we were raised. I'm the wild one out of
Exactly. Like
out of everybody,
the black sheep. Like
I'm the black sheep. No pun intended, but you know, Carlton, you know, he was the, you know, he represented, I would say, how my dad rolled, you know, conservative, very stoic, leader, very, very great man of faith. And, you know, we miss him dearly, and it's just amazing to see his impact on which you know, because I left here, and I know we're kind of all over the place with this interview, but I left here right after high school, you know, and hadn't been back here since, you know, except for family visits and things like that. So I didn't know the type of impact my family has had on the Broward County community as far as the school board system, as well as the BSO, Sheriff Department, and all that. And to see all the people that showed up to celebrate his life and the impact and all the stories and all the influx of email and media that we continuously get even now, it really is a testament to, you know, his partnership with the Broward County School Board.
That's right, man. And it's I was telling a couple people too. I was telling your nephews. I was telling them, I was like, he set the bar high.
Yeah.
Like to be a better man, and just to make sure. One of the things that I've heard consistently was there were no wasted words.
No.
That was like, I was like, man, that's a big thing when you say no wasted words every time you talk to someone. And like I said, it was just such an impact, man. But yeah, and your family is a blessing. Amen. Like I said, the Broward County, man, they're a blessing, and that's an example of what it is. And
it's a lot of us.
Still continues. Exactly. You guys roll deep. 13 kids. Yeah, I'm like, man, that's a phenomenal thing. But let's talk about, like you said, you were the wild child.
Yes.
Went to high school.
Yes.
Where'd you go?
Hollindale.
Home of the Chargers. Let's go. You know what I mean? Rich history, right? Yeah. And that's the thing. We take such pride in the alumni that come from District 1. That's one thing that I'm learning. And people take such pride, man, especially the Chargers celebrating 50 years.
Yeah. We
were there, with Pastor Sanders and out there. It was awesome. It was good. They turned the auditorium into a church service.
Did
it was phenomenal. But it was so many stories, so much history. And then going from there, what happened after high school? What happened to taking those steps? Where'd you go?
So I ended up going to a private Christian school called Lee University in the mountains of Cleveland, Tennessee. It was a dry county, so we didn't even have an Applebee's. It's cut off from the rest of the world for 4 years.
Focus on education.
And then after that, I took a job in Tampa for a little while as a worship leader and as a music director of a then unknown church, but then became a big church, a mega church. And I ended up getting a record deal from that a while there in Tampa. I ended up getting discovered, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Los Angeles, California, and I was in LA for 15 plus years doing independent music on my side, gospel music, faith-based music. But I was also doing theater, and I was then started doing cinema, started doing movies, commercials, modeling, all that stuff. And then into hosting and producing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Awesome.
And then fast forward, I said yes to the call 9 years ago to come back to South Florida.
That's right.
And launched the Now Church.
That's amazing.
Here we are.
That's amazing. And Now Church booming.
And it's
interesting. So funny you say that. So with that's something we share in common, because that's the route I took too, right? And it was, I tell kids all the time, I'm like, can you guys guess what I wanted to be when I got out of high school? Kids were like, a politician. I was like, no, nobody wants to be a politician that I know of. Right. I don't, not where I'm from. I'm like, I wanted to be a musician, know. So I was a lead singer of a band.
Shut up.
Signed a record deal.
You sing, stop. Stop.
Calm down, Pastor. Calm down.
You better sing a little
rap,
note
sing. I know.
For these people. Stop
well,
come on.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Are you not going to sing something? We are right here. You got to sing. Do something important. Okay, so y'all don't know. Do they know you're from Brazil?
They do know I'm from. I say it all the time.
Y'all know he speaks Portuguese? Because I didn't know that. How about I went to Brazil and was trying to speak Spanish? I got
like, what is this guy doing?
Real fast. So
what is this guy doing?
Don't come here with that nonsense. Man. I was like, wow.
But so you learn a lot. The record business teaches you a lot.
You say you tried to segue out of singing.
I'm not going to sing anything.
So if I sing, you'll sing.
Nope. Oh, I'm not singing.
We won't even do that?
I'm not doing that. I'm not singing. I've retired.
What
I'm
is
good.
the point of the podcast?
No. Just to get to know.
Podcast. What
to
is
get
podcast?
To know
I
you.
don't even know.
I don't even know either. I don't know.
Dan, I feel like you should sing a little something for these people. I didn't even know you sing.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've tried. I dabbled in singing.
No, if you had a record deal and doing all that kind of stuff, you could sing.
So we started out as a Christian band, same thing.
Nice.
I'm going to segue out of it. And then we went secular. We signed a secular deal. But we were opening up for the Ushers, Jonas Brothers.
Shut up.
Yeah, NERD. We opened up for NERD 3 times. That was my favorite band. But we connect with kids with that. Yeah, no, we connect with kids. But we moved up to New York as a band.
Okay.
And I remember we moved to New York instead of LA. I was like, no, New York is the place to go. So, we learned a lot. And then coming back now, it's like I said, answering the call. I, felt it was pushing into politics. Mm-hmm. My father was a pastor as well.
Nice.
He said, nobody gets called to be a politician. You're going the wrong route, son. Like, that's not what it is. But, look at us now. It's being on the school board and seeing how many kids we can really reach and see a positive impact and see how we can change the trajectory for these kids. And music is a big key. Yeah. Music is a huge key. So even one of the things that I wanted to look into is how do we use music? How do we use the kids' passion for music to get them on track or get them excited about school? And then you think about it now. You're just like, if you could tell your younger self where you would be now, it's wild because you're like, I don't believe it. So
purpose finds you, though. I said purpose finds you.
That's right.
You have your callings, you have your desires, but at the end of the day, that same purpose, that same point that God placed within your life, the reason why you are alive, the reason why you're breathing. You know, we have all these things that we do or that we might be gifted at, but like the point of your existence, if you are yielded to God, I think finds you. And obviously, you know, education and youth and impacting the community was always yours.
That's big. And I think that's like one of the deep things too, because especially with kids, there's so much pressure on our children, right? To find out, what are you doing? What do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
Where are you going? What's next? And you talk to them and there's so much pressure. Like these kids are, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And
it's a lot for grown people.
Yeah. And some kids have it together. You're talking about, I'm in 10th grade. Yes. Well, when I graduate, I want to go to this college and I want to do this, major in this, minor in this. And I want to, then do this. And then wait a minute. Yeah. It's okay to let's
chill
figure it out, man. Let's figure it out and enjoy the time now. Enjoy that. And, so we want to support kids because it's a lot of pressure when they don't know, what to figure it out But then when somebody finds out what their purpose is, when they find out what that calling is,
beat it.
Man, you
can't beat it.
Yeah. And that's it. And I noticed even with music, and I think you could relate to this, was because it was Christian music. Mm-hmm. So to know the purpose behind the music is not to go platinum. That's not the goal. Is to really reach people, touch people, change their lives. Mm-hmm. That's the purpose. Yeah. For me, I loved the positive impact that it made on people's lives. I love making people smile, making them happy. I love making that impact. And then I saw that. I said, wait a second. So music is not my purpose. It's that. Wow. It's making sure I find that. So even with this, it's being a board member is not a fun job. It's not a fun. It is when it's for some parts. When you see the kids, when you see the accomplishments, being out here, making connections with people, it's awesome. But the amount of pressure that it's there, it's not a fun job. Right. But finding the purpose of it, what it is that I'm doing, you can look past that.
And it drives you to continue to do what you do.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
A lot of work, but the purpose keeps you going.
That's it. So I just wish we find more kids to understand that. Find your purpose. Yeah. Find what it is, your why, and really go after it. So, one of the things we want to talk, so now church was in Hollywood, still is.
Somewhat.
Based, right? So now, and you guys, interesting enough, because we moved locations. Yeah. And now at Nova High School.
Yes.
Nova
Shout
High
out
School.
to Yemi, Principal Yemi.
Yep. Home of the Titans.
Home of the Titans.
You guys do it. So you guys have a great presence on Instagram, by the way. I love the social media team. Really great.
They'll appreciate that.
You know what I mean? It's really awesome. So I love watching the videos and stuff. And it was funny because recently they posted a video and I was like, what do you do? Well, I'm part of the welcome team. What wouldn't you do? Be a pastor. That's my favorite answer. That was my favorite
Don't blame
answer.
them.
I'm like, this is a good point. So how's that been? So with that, and I love people to hear that because I talk about that partnership. We have a lot of schools that do have partnerships with churches, places of faith that rent out our schools. How did that come about? How's it been working out?
Well, a couple of things. First off, we're a church, what you call a church plant. I'm not only the pastor, but I'm the founder of Now Church, which is a little bit harder than just taking a job as a pastor. Definitely. You're starting from scratch. You're starting with nothing. You have no budget. You have no resources. You have no building. You don't even guarantee it in a congregation. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, 9 years ago, I literally in 2014 came and said, hey, listen, let's answer the call of ministry. And I think we probably had 3 people or 4 people that showed up that first Sunday, and just kept going from there. So when you have a dream and a vision that God gives you for something like that, what is then strategic is the different people that he sent along the way to partner with you to help that vision come into fruition. Yeah. And in South Florida with the market and, for buildings and whatnot and the expenses and all that, you can really be basically climbing a uphill battle that you're probably, never going to win without a partnership. Yeah. And we were renting a great facility there in Hollywood. A good friend of mine who owned a TV studio, Trinity Broadcasting Network. Huge. They're repurposing that property for other buildings and construction that's going to go up on that property, which the building was fine, but around it, it was getting ready they want to start bulldozing and doing a lot of major construction. And this with working with kids, you can't have kids and families, driving in and out of that and whatnot. That's just an opportunity for a lot of not casualties, but a lot of possible accidents.
Yeah, liability.
Liabilities. So at the kind of on the last minute kind of thing, we were able to connect with Principal Yemi and Nova High School, and they were looking for someone to partner with the auditorium. They hadn't rented it out in years or a long time at least. And we were looking for a place that we needed for worship in the interim of finding a building. Anyone out there
That's right.
that want to hook a brother up?
That's right. Find any buildings out there.
Dope church needs a building, though.
Yes.
But what I want to say before God and man was that Principal Yemi, man, and her staff embraced us 110%. And I cannot tell you how much of a blessing that was at that time. She too had been impacted by my brother, Principal Carlton, who she had said, big brothered her, when she first came into the county, and how much of a blessing. And somebody whispered in her ear, 'cause she didn't know initially that I was his brother.
Wow.
So as we're walking through the place, somebody whispered in her ear that, hey, you do know that's Carlton's brother. And then she came and told me the story about how he helped her and all that kind of stuff. And her exact words to me was, however we can partner with you all, we're here. And it's been a partnership ever since. The people embraced Nova because that was a little bit of a drive from where we were.
Yeah.
But people embraced it. Some of the kids from Nova University have been coming over, and that's what we wanted. We wanted to make sure that we, as a church, you don't want to just do something, right, Dan? You want to make an impact.
That's right.
And with us being there, in a local school and around other educational facilities, it gave us a greater, which I didn't even see that, I didn't even see that, I'll be honest with you, but it gave us a greater insight and impact into the young adults and the youth in that area, even doing some Bible studies and things like that over at the library at Nova University, which is right across the street.
That's huge, yeah, because you have Nova Southeastern over there, Broward College right next door. Their
FAU.
dorm, the dorms, FAU, I think UF has even like a campus there, something they do. I'm like, golly, everybody's over here.
Harvard is
Harvard. Oh, okay. Like, so everybody's out there, which is, you're right. In that community, especially students, a lot of them, especially when they're not from here, they almost
need a community.
Need a community.
And that's what church is for.
What it is. It's community. Exactly. And then, of course, like you said, the Bible study, the small groups, the churches within the church. That's like the real church of when it happens.
It's huge.
I always tell people, like you can go to service. That's great. But you need to get plugged in, man. When you get plugged in and sort of get that community and accountability, when you have those people that are right there for you, man, and be able to know what you're going through and be able to talk to people, that's how you really get plugged in, especially the students. It'll be great over there. Now,
it's huge for any student.
Huge.
It's huge. I would tell any young person watching, not only in college, but in high school as well, looking back, and this as well.
Yeah.
Looking back, if you had that spiritual accountability or just that moral compass, and accountability, I want to say, I'll be talking about this on Sunday, but accountability is not people checking on you, it's you checking in with people.
That's right.
Coming, so sometimes people say, well, the church didn't check on me. Well, it's technically not the church's responsibility to check on you. It's your responsibility to let the church know that you need to be checked on. You see?
That's right.
Now, if the church doesn't do so, then that's a different story.
That's right.
But it really is important that you let people know, hey, I'm not doing well. Yeah. Or, hey, something is going on in my marriage or in my relationship or, this class. I remember being in class and saying to certain people, hey, like I couldn't, like statistics in me was like oil and water, and I was like, I need help.
Correct.
And it was those accountability relationships that helped me get through, my years in college and stuff like that. So, don't underestimate coming together, with the church family. I'm telling you, there's a lot of people that I don't need church. Look. Y'all.
Yeah, you may not tripping. Say that, but coming in the midnight
me,
hour, you need help.
There,
yeah, we need help.
You.
Yeah, and especially now, Pastor, that's one of the things that, like you said,
I wouldn't do this work without church.
With our students or with our students, where we're going through, it feels like a crisis, a mental health crisis, and not having, and I think for them, they don't have an outlet, they don't have that safe place to go. And for us, it's, what are your thoughts with that? Because I know you do have you have students in the church, you deal with it, you work with young people. Going through now, times have changed, right? Between factors, you have social media, all these different things, so many factors that are in there now. Like I said, the pressures that are coming in. What is one of the things that you notice, and what can we do better?
Well, I'll tell you, you're absolutely right. Statistics show us that, suicide, depression, and all those things are at an alarming rate. And sometimes when you say that, people go, oh, yeah, they're just making it up. And it's like, it's not being made up. These are factual numbers that really lets us know that our children in this generation, and dare I say parents as well, are being pressured constantly through just this overwhelming access of communication, of the need to feel to be something that they may not be able to acquire, at least not just yet. So that pressure to perform has become very great, and that has caused, I think, way more mental unhealthiness than anything else. What we try to do at Now Church is, my degree is in psychology, first and foremost. So even when I preach and speak, I speak from a psychological standpoint. So when I look at the scriptures, I ask the question, how does this apply to me, first and foremost, as an individual? Sometimes we try to reach the masses when, in order to reach the masses, you have to start with the individual. And so I try to tailor my teaching style to speak to the individual person. I try to teach all of our leaders and pastors and ministers to do the exact same thing, because at the end of the day, God utilizes our hearts by way of our minds, by way of our persona or our perspective and our personalities. And a lot of what you're seeing and a lot of what our young people are dealing with is because they don't have what you call a healthy perspective on life. And there's a difference between having the right perspective and having the right perception. I don't judge people too much by their perception, because your perception is based upon your experience. Your perception is based upon what you've been exposed to, what you've been around. So if somebody comes in here right now and just starts, cussing us out or got a wild attitude, if that's all they've ever known, if that's all they know how to deal with tragedy or trauma is to cuss people out, fight and whatnot, you can't judge them too much. What I can challenge them on is getting a new perspective about what they're dealing with. Perspective speaks to your attitude. It speaks to the attitude about what you're dealing with. I know that normally if I'm in a situation like this, I quit because I saw my mom quit, I saw my dad quit. Normally situation like this, I fight or I turn to substance abuse or whatever the case may be, because that's what I was around. But if I can get a word or a church or a preaching or a sermon or a mentor, somebody that starts changing my attitude about what I've been through. You understand?
That's right.
Change my attitude about the abuse I suffered as a kid. Yeah. Change my attitude about the teacher that didn't want to see me graduate, the coach that didn't let me play, the person that broke my heart, and this relationship that didn't work out, or the job that fired me unfairly. See, if I change my attitude about that, then I start realizing I'm not a victim. I realize that I'm actually stronger because I survived whatever it was that I've been through. My childhood was hell. That breakup almost lost my mind. That, I've never been, the one picked in the family. I was always ostracized. Whatever it is that you went through in life, if you can get the right information that will change your attitude about your situation, you change the game.
That's it. That's really it,
change
man.
The game.
That's powerful. That is powerful. And I think funny enough, I did a visit yesterday, and I went to McNichol Middle. Shout out to McNichol Middle. Did you go?
All right, so let me tell you about 3 schools, so that way
yes,
you know.
There you
so
go.
I did Copeland Elementary.
Okay.
McNichol Middle School.
Yes.
And Hollandale High.
And Hollandale High. So now Principal Benka Coker is there, and we talked. That was the first thing we talked about.
Wow.
And we talked about, and then Miss Lee as well. We sat down with Miss Lee, and we were talking about even children that are getting referrals and kids that are getting in trouble. It's the same group of kids. And I even spoke to another board member in Duval County that he was doing, different programs to really address that. How is it that they continue to have the same behavior? Mm-hmm. And if they're getting referrals and getting the same kids over and over again recycling, wait a second, we got to get involved here. Mm-hmm. So they started doing now an extra class. It's on during the week that they're actually getting these kids and they're mentoring. Mm-hmm. They're bringing other perspectives.
Great.
Even for me, right? It's weird to hear people say you're a politician.
Mm-hmm.
like politicians, we have such an idea as what a politician is. Growing up, I would never know that it would be a possibility for me to be in this arena.
Right.
Never. It's not for me. That's not for me. And I hear kids say that, and it drives me crazy when they're, oh, that's not for me.
Yeah.
No, that's not from where I'm from. That's not for me. No, but if I could sit down and show you that it's possible, that anything is possible. Yeah, like listen, man, listen. Let me tell you about
pastor thing.
You know what I'm saying? Let me tell you this story. Let me tell you where I'm coming from, right? Let me tell you about my grades. Let me tell you about my experience. Let me, to show kids and invest into them and say anything is possible. You can do this. And I always say this: Broward kids are built differently. We're built.
I like that.
We're built a little bit with a little bit more swagger and a little bit more grit, right? But let kids know. Wait a second. You have more power than you think. We're going to invest into you, and you can do something. You don't let somebody count you out. And like you said, change that perspective. You have to change that. So for me, especially kids in our district, we're so diverse, and diversity gives us power. And I always tell kids, you get into a room, and if you look different, you're not less than. Yeah. It gives you power.
Yeah.
Take that and make it power. Yeah. Right? They don't look like you. It's power.
And it's something for you to learn.
Yeah. So our kids look at me like I'm crazy sometimes. They're like, no, that's not what it feels like.
It's true.
But it's the truth. So it's sort of just changing that, having more conversations, more just feeding into kids, man, and saying, no, like getting to know them. And I think from in the seat, one thing I've noticed as a board member, we've created silos. It feels like a bubble for the school board. I want to eliminate that. I want to create more partnerships like you were talking about, like your father did, to creating more partnerships with faith leaders, with community leaders, with our city commission, with our mayors. Let's do this together. These are our children, to make sure that we are doing everything they can to have the brightest future. But also just to let everybody in, but also just say, hey, how can we work together to make this move forward? How can we make this better? And then just empower these kids. So, it's working, man. Mentorship programs is tough, but we're trying to do things, bullying, and I don't think one of the things we've done a terrible job at is talking to our kids, talking to our staff. Like we don't, again, that bubble, and you create a wall that even when I talk to my principals at times or teachers, it's sort of like, oh, I can't really talk to you. And I'm like, who are you scared of? Like, is there somebody hiding? Who are you afraid of? But it's a fear almost that it's like, I can't talk. But then you get so much insight if you talk to kids. Yeah. Talk to them. I talked to one, and then at McNichol, we sat down and she was sitting down. I think she was getting in trouble for her cell phone, throwing it out there. But I said, so tell me, what grade are you in? I'm in 8th grade. And where are you going to high school? Hollandale? Mm-mm. Where are you going? I think I'm going to go to Miami. I said, Miami? Why you want to go to Miami-Dade? What happened? She said, Broward Schools is not what it used to be. Oh. And I said, tell me more.
Come on.
And she said, well, there's too many rules. And I said, well, as somebody that makes the rules, I was like, tell me what you mean. And she said, you make the rules. Yeah. Well, I don't know. But we started having a good conversation.
I love that.
Her friend walked in. We started talking. And I said, well, wait a second. You guys are both in uniforms. I like uniforms. And her friend said, I don't. And I said, well, I like uniforms, and I believe that everybody should wear uniforms in Broward County. And then her friend was like, oh, no, that's an awful idea. And she said, I don't think it's a bad idea at all. I said, really? Why not? And she said, because bullying is a big problem in our schools. And I believe if you put them in uniforms, it'll help kids that cannot afford outfits and clothes, and it puts us all on the same level. I said, that's it. I said, wait a second. This is a child now.
Exactly.
Right? The ones that we ignore. Hold on.
Exactly.
This is a child. She said, it puts us on the same level and we can focus on education. I said, exactly. I said, I agree with that. And then that's one of the things, too. A lot of our kids, we can't expect them to value other kids, teachers, respect other kids, teachers, until they respect and value themselves. And we need to teach our kids how to do that. And when we empower them and we teach them to respect themselves, it can go off to everywhere else. We can start. That's a good starting point.
And you find out they know more than you think they know.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like if you just honestly have the conversation, you can then steer the perspective and the perception the right way.
Yeah.
But just like how you sat down with those two, you really find out there's a lot of common sense values that are there, and a lot of insight, too, that can help us as leaders.
Yeah.
do a better job in steering the community because they know what's really going on.
That's right. They deal with it every single day, right? And then now, and just, I want to meet them where they're at. And we think about when we were in school, things are different, but not as different as we think.
No.
Because we all went through the same thing.
Same basics,
right?
Yeah.
We were right there. So let's say you were passionate about music, right? And you were passionate about that. What were you doing in high school? Or sports? Were you doing music in high school? How was that experience for you at Hollandale?
Yeah, you're taking me way back now.
Let's go.
In high school, high school is where I started singing. High school is where the music began. Well, no, I did band at McNichol. They had a band program, a pretty decent band program back then. So I played trombone.
You played trombone.
I played trombone in the band at McNichol Middle School.
You're one of those kids bumping in everything. I love.
Hey, I made first chair a couple of times. But anyways, it wasn't until I go to Hollandale that I got into singing, because Hollandale at that time had a kick butt choir music program. Mr. Lowell Lampkin, he's a legend in Hollandale, and he taught a lot of us. We went to state a couple of times. Performed a lot of great contemporary music, a lot of ballads. I learned jazz. I learned a lot of stuff. So it really opened my eyes beyond the borders of Hollandale, the city, and the experience as a black kid growing up in South Florida to this world of music. Because music is so universal, and we learned Italian and classical pieces, and he really pushed us.
Yes,
and that's where the love of music really came from. Because from that I started getting solos, and then I got put into the ensemble and I started feeling myself.
That's it. I was like, wait a second, I think I might have something here. Now see, so that's big, right? So it's, for me, like I said, find what they're passionate about, and what can we do better. Right. And that's one of the things. It's funny because now I'm like, wait a second, we're the 6th largest school district in the country.
Wow.
Broward County.
Wow.
And we have about 250,000 kids. And one of the things I thought of, I was like, wait a second. I said, we have kids rapping, singing, making music, writing music. We have bands, jazz bands, phenomenal. I was like, how do we not have our own record label? So I said, that's one of the things I want to start. And I talked to it. I said, I believe if we start off a record label and we do that and we empower kids, you want to do that, we're going to teach you. We're going to have clubs to be able to teach you about writing credits.
Right.
I'm going to teach you how to get published. Publishing, you're going to make a choice which way you want to go. Who do you want to sign with? Can we start on publishing? What are we doing? And from there, I'm like, we can start contests. We can start, you know what? Every school put out a song. Whoever has the most streams by the end of the year will get ABC. Wow. You know how much we can get to kids getting their writing checks? You know what that empower? Can you imagine doing that in high school and be like, wait a second. But for us to be able to empower you to get that, hey, we'll get you your single.
Yeah, you're setting them up for a brighter future. I don't know about you, but I had to go and dig for mine. I had to go, hardcore and find and all that kind of stuff. But what you're doing with programs like that, or launching things like that, is you'd be setting your kids in Broward County to win.
That's right.
And win big, because we've all heard of these first signed deals where the artist is getting ripped off, or you find out they sold 1 million albums and they only got paid, $10,000.
Oh yeah.
And stuff like that. Well, that's how that happens. If you don't know how the business is ran, and if you don't know what publishing is, if you don't know what artist rights are and what percentages are and all that kind of stuff, that's how you can get in trouble. So when you do programs like this for kids in high school, by the time that they get to the collegiate level or get into, their independent road as an artist or whatever, they'll be well versed and educated in these areas.
That's right. Yeah, so it's something I'm looking into. One of those things to get,
I like
kids
how
excited.
You think, Dan. I like how you think.
So we're going to take this thing in for a landing, Pastor. So I got to ask, so what are you working on? What is going on right now that you would want to tell our audience, different things that you're working on?
Well, for us, always as a church, we always are excited to prepare for our SummerSlam Sport Camp program. That's a huge program for us in the Broward County that we bring in upwards of almost 200 kids. It's a paid-for program. We raise the money and and we bring in different coaches that do everything from tennis, golf, basketball, volleyball,
right.
and of
tennis.
Course we
were trying to make tennis happen this year.
So then we mentor them along the way.
Yeah.
We also have Bless the Mic, which is a youth thing that's kind of open mic. Kids get the chance to perform,
yes.
and, seek talents out and whatnot. Our food pantry is on pause right now until we get our building, but we had a very thriving food pantry that we service the Broward County community weekly, families, which I really missed out a lot. So we're really going hard at finding that new location for us and getting that locked in to make sure that happens. And then of course we're just continuing our hands in missions and ministry and all that we can do. I'm got some music stuff that's coming up, and
there we go.
Some movie things going on.
I know, right? I see you on TV. You all over the place, man. He's being real humble right now.
Yeah, but, we stay working, so it's a lot of great things going on, and I'm really happy and proud of though. And this because we got a similar. I didn't know our paths were so similar, but for me, I'm really just excited about the church and what we can do for the community. I think at the end of the day, that's it. I thank God for all my platforms and stages and things that I've been able to do personally with my own career. Yes. But to be honest with you, it's all about families, those kids, helping people through loss of family and the struggles that this life can bring. And so I'm very proud of Now Church, and whatever we can do to partner with the Broward County School Department, we'd be more than glad to do so.
Yeah, it's awesome, and I appreciate that. And that's the thing, you need to let people know they're not alone.
Amen.
Like, we're here for you, and you have people here for you, you have people rooting for you, and that's the tough thing. When people feel alone, that's a dangerous place, and it's a scary place. But now I want to thank you for being on, taking the time for being here. We appreciate you.
I feel underdressed.
Yeah, no, stop that. Like I said,
I would have sung for y'all. If he would have sung for y'all, I would have sung for y'all.
No, I'm not doing that.
He won't sing. Y'all need to get him to sing. Put the pressure on him.
We ain't doing that.
I feel like they're going to do it. I feel like you're going to end up having to give in.
No, right? No way. But no, I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe. And this is the goal of the We Are One District 1 podcast, to make sure that we talk about different leaders here in District 1 and across Broward County. So tune in. Thank you so much.